a little tricky here. The instructions for the next page are right here. Use a graphing calculator to solve the system of linear equations. So if you miss that, you might be trying to still do them by hand, but we're going to go ahead and use our calculator for this. But when we use our calculator, we need our equations to be in the y equals format. Okay. So we'll do that first. 0.2x minus 0.2y equals 2. So we're going to move the 0.2x to the other side, and we get negative 0.2y equals negative 0.2x plus 2. We divide everything by negative 0.2. And we get that y equals x. And then this is going to be minus. And this 2 divided by negative 0.2 is going to be minus 10. Okay. And then we have 0.9x plus 0.6y. 0.6y equals 6. So we'll subtract the 0.9x, so we get 0.6y equals negative 0.9x plus 6. We divide everything by 0.6. That y equals 2 divided by negative 0.2 is going to be minus 10. And then we have 0.9x plus 0.6y. 0.6y equals 6. So we'll subtract the 0.9x. We want to go to our graph. And we're going to put in our two equations. So the first one was y equals x minus 10. So f of 1x equals x minus 10. And then we hit tab. And our second equation was negative 1.5x plus 10. Okay, and we can see that the two lines intersect here, so to find out what that point is, we'll do menu, 6, 4, and then we will set our boundary line to the left, hit enter, to the right, hit enter, and it tells us our intersection is 8, negative 2. So on our piece of paper, we're going to put our answer as 8, negative 2. All right, so we will continue on. Going to solve for y. This time y is by itself except for this negative 1.5x, so that means we're going to have y equals 1.5x plus 2.5. And then here, we're going to have negative 1.5y equals negative 15x plus 4.8. So we divide by the negative 1.5. Negative 1.5x plus 10. So then we go to our calculator, and we want to go to our graph, and we're going to put in our two equations. So the first one was y equals x minus 10, so f of 1x equals x minus 10, and then we hit tab. And our second equation was negative 1.5x plus 10. Okay, and we can see that the two lines intersect here, so to find out what that point is, we'll do menu, 6, 4, and then we will set our boundary line to the left, hit enter. To the right, hit enter, and it tells us our intersection is 8, -2. So on our piece of paper, we're going to put our answer as 8, -2. All right, so we will continue on. Going to solve for y. This time, y is by itself except for this -1.5x, so that means we're going to have y equals 1.5x plus 2.5. And then here, we're going to have -1.5y equals -15x plus 4.8. So we divide by the -1.5. And we get that y equals equals 10x minus 3.2. Okay, so we have our two equations. Put them back in our calculator and find out what the intersection is. All right, so on 13, we would have -0.9y equals -0.8x plus 0, or just leave it as -0.8x. We divide both sides by -0.9. I'll get that y equals appears to be 0.8 repeating, so we're just going to leave that as 8/9 x. Okay. All right. And then here we'd have -0.5y equals -x plus 1. So we divide everything by -0.5. And we get that y. Let's see, where can I put this? Over here in the margin, I guess? Okay, so y equals -1 divided by -0.5 is 2. So 2x. And 1 divided by -0.5 is -2, so -2. There's our two equations that we can now put in our calculator's graph and see where they intersect. Okay. Finally, on 14, 4.2x minus y equals 3. Okay, that would be -y equals -4.2x plus 3. Which means that y equals 4.2x minus 3. And here we get -y equals -2x minus 0.3, and then that would be y equals 2x plus 0.3. Again, we have our two equations. We can substitute into the calculator and come up with the intersection. Okay. You sell bracelets for $2 each and necklaces for $3 each at a local flea market. You collect $95, selling a total of 37 jewelry items. How many of each type of jewelry did you sell? Okay, so let's see. We've got $2 each for the bracelets. So if I let B stand for the number of bracelets, and 3N stand for the number of necklaces. All right, then I know that 2B plus 3N is going to equal $95. I also know that I sold 37 items, so the bracelets plus the necklaces equaled 37. Okay. Now, at this point, I can graph them on my calculator, or I can try some other method, since mostly we've done graphing, I would say translate this into x and y. So we'll have 2x plus 3y equals 95. And then we would solve that for y. So 3y equals negative 2x plus 95, which means y equals negative 2/3 x plus, let's see, 95 divided by 3. It's just 95/3. And then this we could change to x plus y equals 37, which means y equals negative x plus 37. And then I could graph those on my calculator. What I've got to remember though is that x stands for bracelets and y stands for necklaces. So when I get my coordinate point, right, this is going to be my bracelets and this will be my number of necklaces. All right. For each rectangle below, write a linear equation that represents the area of the rectangle. Solve this system with two linear equations by graphing and interpret your solution. Wow. Okay. So area of a rectangle is length times width. So the area of this first rectangle would be 4 times x plus 1. And the area of this rectangle would be 3 times 2x minus 2. If I want to do this by graphing, it would be helpful if I had a y, right? So instead of a, I'm going to replace that with y. Okay. And then, well, now I could graph this on my calculator quite easily. I could just come over, turn on my calculator here. Let's put that up in big screen. Okay, so let me clear this from the last one. All right, so my first equation was y equals 4 times x plus 1. So 4 times x plus 1. And then my other equation, so hit tab. My other equation was 3 times 2x minus 2. 3, 2x minus 2. Enter. Okay, now this one's off the screen, so I'm going to have to work a little bit more. So I'm going to change my window or my zoom factor, and I'm just going to zoom out here. And I want my center to be up here somewhere because that's where they look like they're going to cross. I'm going to do it again. Okay, so now I can see where they're crossing. So menu 6, 4 to get my, okay, whoa. Okay, so, well, my intersection went away, so I'm just going to kind of go for it. I'm going to set this one here. Oh, there's my blue line back. Okay, so make sure you set your intersection, your boundary line to the left and to the right of your intersection, and it's telling us that the point would be 524. Okay. So my coordinate point is 524. So what does that tell me? Okay, because that's the next part. Interpret my solution. Well, this is my x and this is my y, and here x was an unknown side length, right, or an unknown portion of the side. So, and then 24, y was the area. So we know that the area of each square, or each rectangle, is 24 when x equals 5. Okay. Number 17, you spend $11 on school supplies. You purchase pencils for 25 cents each and pens for $2 each. You purchase a total of 30 pencils and pens. How many pencils did you purchase? How many pens did you purchase? Okay, so I spent $11 on school supplies and my pencils were 25 cents each. Let's see, I've got pencils and pens. I don't want to use P. I think I'll just use X and Y. Okay, so X is pencils and pens is Y. All right, so I have 25 cents per each pencil and $2 for each pen, and I spent $11. I bought 30 pencils and pens, so X plus Y equals 30. All right, so now I could solve these for Y, right? Y equals negative X plus 30. And this one would be, let's see, 2Y equals negative 0.25 X plus 11. Divide everything by 2, and we get Y equals, let's see, negative 0.25 divided by 2 is going to be negative 0.125 X, and then 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So I have my two equations. I could place those in my calculator and find their intersection point. Okay. Remembering, before we go on, remember pencils was our X and pens was our Y. So when we get our coordinate, right, this is our number of pencils and this is our number of pens. All right, you begin with $90 in your savings account and your friend begins with $35 in her savings account. You deposit $10 in savings each week and your friend deposits $15 in savings each week. Write a system of linear equations that represent the amounts in each of your savings account. Okay, so we don't have to change it over to X and Y again. Let's just start with that. X will be me, or my savings account, and Y will represent my friend. Oh no, it can't be that. Okay, well let's see. If I begin with 90, X is going to be the number of weeks, and Y is going to be the amount in the account. Okay. So if I begin with $90 and I'm adding $10 each week, then in my account the balance will be 90 plus 10x each week. And then my friend, she started with 35, but she's going to be $15 per week. Okay. Now my friend says that in 10 weeks we will both have the same amount of money in the accounts. Is my friend correct? Well, I think if we're going to have the same amount, that tells me that's where these two lines are going to be equal, so that's where they're going to intersect. So if I just graph those and see if the X value is 10, then the answer would be yes, and if the X value isn't 10, then the answer would be no. And I could explain my answer that way. But I'll leave that for you to do.